Are There Werewolves in the Bible? Part 3. If you have not seen part 1 and 2 already, go back and check it out now for context, because I'm about to give you a lot. If you have seen the first 2 parts already, then you know that the focus of this video series, is to point out a few examples within the Bible of what I believe to be werewolves or were-like creatures. Now, in part 1, we talked about Nebuchadnezzar II. In part 2, we discussed Nimrod. For this part here, we're going to talk about Ishmael, the firstborn son of Abraham. If you're unfamiliar with who Abraham is, quick summary. God found favor with Abraham, and he promised Abraham to multiply his seed exceedingly and told him that he would make great nations from him. But you see, there was a complication. Abraham was married to Sarah, and Sarah was unable to conceive. Her womb was barren. And so Sarah suggested to Abraham that he marry her maidservant Hagar so that she can provide him an heir. And so Abraham heeds Sarah's advice. He marries Hagar. They do the grown folk shuffle, and then she becomes pregnant with Ishmael. Now, once it is found that Hagar is able to conceive, Sarah immediately begins to despise her, and she begins to deal harshly with her. She starts treating her like shit, so much so to the point that one day, Hagar flees from her face. She runs away. And so then an angel comes to Hagar, right, and finds Hagar in the wilderness near a fountain in the way of Shur. And so the angel asks her, Hagar, from whence cometh thou, and whither wilt thou go? He goes, yo, I'm trying to get the fuck away from Sarah. She tripping. And so the angel tells her, return to thy mistress and submit yourself to her hands. The angel then informs Hagar that they will multiply her seed exceedingly, and that she shall bear a son, whose name shall be Ishmael, for God hath heard her affliction. The angel then begins to describe to Hagar the way that Ishmael shall be. The angel informs her that Ishmael will be a wild man, and that his hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand shall be against him. And finally, that he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. So let's dissect this. Before we get into it though, right, other translations, I forget if it's the NIV or the Catholic version of the Bible, it says that he shall be a wild donkey. And so I looked this up, and apparently donkeys are service animals. So when it mentions that he is a wild donkey or a wild man, what we're being informed is that Ishmael is untamable. He's a free spirit, a rebel, because you see, all of us free spirits are rebels at heart. To be wild, it means to be free, because that's how it's supposed to be, living young and wild and free. Also, to be wild means to be instinctual. This is a being of instinctual wisdom. So he's wild. He isn't subservient. He's untamable. He's a rebel. He's a free spirit. He's a being of instinct. So let's break down this next line, right, stating that his hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand shall be against him. When I read this, I immediately thought about strife, conflict, or combat. Now, if you guys recall, I mentioned in part 1 that according to ancient werewolf lore, there's usually 3 types of werewolves. And that's the victim, the damned, but I never mentioned the third. I saved it for this part here. The third is the warrior, the werewolf as warrior. Quick segue, if you're familiar with Norse paganism, then you likely know of the berserker warriors. The berserkers were fierce, deadly, fearsome, violent warriors who were deadly and experts when it came to combat. They are some of the most ferocious, some of the most savage, brutal, violent warriors ever to exist. You see, what they would do is they would wear the skins of animals, usually wolves or bears, and at times wild boars. And it was believed that by putting on the skins of the animals, they would evoke the spirit of the animal, thus transform themselves into, they would assume the god form of a man beast and wreak all types of chaos and havoc on the battlefield. They could not be fucking stopped. If you practice Haitian Vodun and you're familiar with the Bizongo, there is a great deal of correspondences, similarities between the berserkers and the Bizongo. The berserkers, the Bizongo, they're fucking apex predators. They got that killer instinct. Therefore, they are experts, deadly when it comes to executing their goals or bringing their true will into fruition. They got that dog in them. Anywho, now for the last line of Genesis chapter 16, verse 12. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. His brethren is his pack, his wolf pack, because wolves move in packs. Werewolves move in packs. It's because because of these reasons that I believe Ishmael to be a were-like creature. However, he isn't a werewolf. He's definitely a were-like creature, but not a wolf. Tune in for the next part, and I'll let you know what type of were creature he is, because I believe the next character that we're going to focus on is of the same variety of were creature. Make sure y'all stay tuned. We got a lot more shit to unpack. Be sure to like, comment, and share, and let me know some of your thoughts in the comment section. Y'all be easy.